The New York Mets have saved their season. We are back on track as they win a very, very big-time series against the Seattle Mariners over the weekend, finishing it off tonight in the Little League World Series Baseball Classic, whatever they call that thing nowadays. The Mets needed this series victory more than anything else, but if you are watching, what I need you guys to do more than anything is like and subscribe to the channel, as we are going to be doing a lot more of this kind of stuff with these lives every once in a while. Hopefully after every Mets postgame, as much as I possibly can. After every Giants or Knicks game, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff moving forward with the channel. Big-time series win for our New York Mets, right? They needed this more than any team needed a series victory in Major League Baseball right now. And it wasn't even... It was just a mixture of everything, right? Over this past week. What we've been asking for over the past week, or actually a lot of people have been asking for this a lot longer. What we've been asking for is get these young kids up, get these young pitchers up, get the young talent up, and just keep infusing the young electricity into this team. That is exactly what happened on Saturday afternoon at Citi Field. If you were there, you felt it. I felt it through the TV screen. It was absolutely electric. The atmosphere was electric. And if the New York Mets can build off of the young electricity that they had over the past weekend, they are going to get back in this National League East race and give Philly a run for their money as the season narrows down, with there being 38 or 39 games left to go in the regular season. What happened over this past weekend? A quick series recap. Friday night broke a lot. Friday night broke a lot of New York Mets fans. Friday night was one of those nights where a lot of Mets fans were just fed up. A lot of Mets fans were fed up prior to that because they saw the writing on the wall with what's been happening, especially not over the last 2 months, because I know the record hasn't been good over the last 2 months, but what's been going on over the past 2 weeks, especially with the blown leads, with the blown 4-run leads, the blown 5-run leads, the blown 6-run leads. It's been constant blown leads, and the Mets were just getting bombarded with constant negativity from this fan base. I finally broke on Friday night. I couldn't stop. I couldn't help it. I tried to remain as optimistic as humanly possible, and it just became impossible for me after a certain amount of time. That game on Friday night where I thought things could possibly change did not change. Mets were up early in that game, just kept giving it back to the Seattle, kept blowing the lead, couldn't hold the lead, wound up giving up 11 runs. The Mets tried to make it interesting late in that game, and then it just ended so quietly, as a lot of these games have ended so quietly with this staff. So Saturday comes, they get the kid Nolan McLean, top pitching prospect. You could argue if Jonah Tong is their top pitching prospect. A lot of people say Nolan McLean is. McLean gets the start on Saturday, and he absolutely lights it up at Citi Field, getting 8 punch-outs in his first start. You heard it. You heard Citi Field and how loud it could get when you infuse the young talent. Could you just imagine? Could you imagine if that had been Frankie Montas starting that game Saturday? The energy would have been sucked out of the building. Nobody would have been into it. Even if the Mets got off to a lead, you knew a guy like Montas would blow it. You knew he wouldn't be able to sustain the lead that the New York Mets built that day, holding on to a 1-0 lead until they added on a couple of insurance runs later on with Soto and then Pete, finally winning that game 3-1 with Diaz getting the 6-out save on Saturday. So that, you would hope, would build the momentum for the New York Mets moving forward, and it absolutely did, because the offense has actually been pretty good over the past week and a half. A lot of people with Francisco Lindor being the absolute hottest hitter in baseball right now. The offense has been doing its part. It's now the pitching staff that's not been doing their part. So what the Mets need to do now is put those two things together for the first time all season and go on a little bit of a run. So like I said, with the electricity from the young talent and the young pitcher in McLean on Saturday night, you had the rest of the team feel that energy. You needed that energy. That's why starting Montas Saturday would have been a disaster. It would have been woe is me, and it would have continued the insanity that the Mets were on. Starting McLean lit up, put a fire under the Mets' asses. That carried over into tonight's game against Seattle, coming out, getting the early runs, getting the big-time home run from Mark Vientos, the 3-run shot. Nobody on this team needed that home run more than Mark Vientos did. Right field, pounded it out to right field. Looked like the swaggy V that built in the postseason last year. That's the guy that the New York Mets needed. The thing that we're all waiting on now is Francisco Alvarez to see if he's hurt. Hopefully he's not hurt, because he's been swinging the bat really, really well since coming back up from the minor leagues. I'm praying that his thumb injury, or whatever the case is with that other hand, the opposite of the surgically repaired hand from last year, I'm praying that is not something that is going to keep him out for an extended amount of time, because he's been swinging the bat really, really well. Torrens won't be able to hold it down for the Mets moving forward. So I'm hoping that Francisco Alvarez is feeling very well. What we got tonight was Clay Holmes. We got 5 innings, 1 run out of Clay Holmes. If you told me for the remainder of the season, because the Mets most likely are going to go to a 6-man rotation. So if you told me I'm getting 5 innings, 1 run from Clay Holmes moving forward, I will absolutely sign up for that right now. It's way better than the 2 1/3. It's better than the 3. It's better than the 4. It's better than all of the stuff that's been going on with this pitching staff. And we got a little length out of McLean on Saturday. And then we got semi-length out of Clay Holmes in tonight's game, being able to give us the 5 runs. Got out of that bases loaded jam in the 4th, which really helped, or the 5th, which really helped keep Mendoza to not having to go to the bullpen as early as he does, which he's become accustomed to at this point. The Mendoza hate is a little too much for me, because I think he's got the hardest managerial job in all of baseball. I don't think it's even close. When your starters can't go more than 4 innings, it's really tough to manage a team. It's really tough to manage a bullpen, and I don't even know how they got this far by doing that. You got big contributions tonight from the entire pitching staff. I said Clay Holmes went to 5, and then you had Garrett come in. He was the only blip on the radar, giving up the 2-run homer to Cal Raleigh. You wipe your hands with that. I've always said, and you heard it on the broadcast all the time, as long as it's not walks, you'll live with them hitting the home runs, because if the Mets aren't walking guys, the pitching staff tends to actually do very, very well. It sounds very common sense, doesn't it? Don't walk people and you'll be fine. The Mets, when they don't walk batters, are very, very good. The pitching staff, that's how the pitching counts get so high with this team. That's how these guys have 80 pitches in the 4th and 5th inning, because they get to these 3-ball counts, and a lot of the times they give them that ball 4, and now the inning just becomes extended after that, and we just can't have that. The Mets have done a good job over the last two days with that, with McLean and then Holmes. Rogers came in to close it out, gave up a couple soft hits. He finished the game out. Ryan Helsley, you got to give a big shout out to Ryan Helsley, who's been getting trashed by the Met fan. Helsley's going to be fine. Ryan Helsley was brought here as the all-star closer to get the game into the 9th inning for Edwin Diaz, and that is exactly what he will do moving forward. I'm not worried at all about Ryan Helsley. I think he'll be just fine. Nothing to worry about there. I think Helsley will be okay. He came in, stuff looked really good. He said he's feeling 100%. Got that 8th inning. Only got the 1 guy on base. That's perfectly fine. Didn't let up after that, and got out of the inning. Lindor, again, 3 more hits for Francisco Lindor tonight. Soto on base 3 more times tonight. You had Pete, didn't do too much. You had Nimmo got a big time hit in the 8th inning, or the 8th inning, the opposite field. Soto stole his 20th base of the season, one of only 4 players in all of baseball now with 30 home runs and 20 steals. Him, Jose Ramirez, there's 2 other players. Yuri, what's up, bro? How are you, man? We needed this win. Definitely needed this win. Thanks for stopping in. We got the off day tomorrow now, and then we head to Washington, who's always tough, and then we head to Atlanta. And Atlanta being the one that we desperately need to get revenge on. I would love to see a series sweep in Atlanta, but I'm not going to jump ahead. We got to take care of Washington, and Washington played Philly very tough over this weekend. The box scores wouldn't indicate it, especially yesterday giving up 11 runs to Philly, but the Washington Nationals also scored 9 runs against Philly. We got to be careful with Washington. We're going to be facing Mackenzie Gore in that series, so we got to be a little careful. Hopefully the Mets take care of business in Washington and Atlanta. Hopefully shave maybe 1 or 2 games off the division lead up until next week's series against Philly at Citi Field. I want next week's series at Citi Field against Philly. I know I'm jumping ahead here, but it is what it is. I want next week's series against Philly at Citi Field to be so electric to the point where the Mets possibly shaved off 1 or 2 games from the division lead. If the Mets can make that happen, they got to take care of their own business first. If they somehow shave off 3 games this week, that would be even better. But just to get that feel of the first game of that series, that you take off a couple of games from the 5-game lead that Philly has now. The Mets had a big chance this past weekend. Philly struggled against Washington. They struggled in their previous series. The Mets had a big chance to shave off 2 games. They just couldn't do it. So it was against the Reds. The Mets couldn't do it. So now we move forward. You're playing 2 bad teams now. You're playing 2 bad teams. Take 5 out of 6. Take 5 out of 6 against Washington and Atlanta and start this winning. Get this winning back. You got the young kids. You got the young pitching coming up that is igniting a fire in this team's ass. Get the team back on track, and that's hopefully what they did starting yesterday with McLean starting. This comment is 100% what a lot of Mets fans have been saying. Who knew bringing up the young pitching prospect would light the fire into the bullpen? 110%. This is exactly what Mets fans have been dying for at least, realistically, for at least about a month now. Getting the young talent up here. Could you imagine, like I said before, could you imagine had Frankie Montas, who was scheduled to pitch on Saturday's game, imagine if Frankie Montas was the guy who started that game instead of Nolan McLean. Now, who the hell knows? Chances are Montas wets the bed again. The Mets fall into the doldrums again. The bats go quiet. Everybody just goes quiet. And the stadium's dull because guys like Montas will suck the life out of a team. You saw it over and over and over the last 2 or 3 starts especially. Guys like Montas will just suck the life out of the team. He'll do it. And then you start McLean now instead of Montas. Look what happens. Electricity in the ballpark. Striking out his first batter, striking out the third batter in the first inning, getting 2 right away, getting 8 punch outs throughout the game. He's got to cut down on the walks, hone in on that strike zone a little. That will make him a huge ace if he could hone in on those walks a little bit. Getting McLean starting, he made that outstanding behind the back double play. You want to call it luck? I don't care what it is. The Mets' luck has been horrible over the last couple weeks. It's about time that the Mets get some of that luck. And it's about time that we turn things around, starting with the young player, hopefully moving this team in the right direction. Yeah, he didn't even bother to answer the question about him from the reporter. That's not like him at all. Yeah, 100%. That's regarding Carlos Mendoza and Frankie Montas. I thought it was hysterical. I think when they said it Tuesday or when they announced Montas was going to the bullpen, as soon as Mendoza sat down, he goes, yeah, Montas is going to the bullpen, and that's where he stopped answering the questions. I think a reporter might have asked him if he's going to have Montas start again. That's not happening. Montas is out of this rotation officially. You're only going to see him in mop-up duty. You're only going to see him in games that are either the Mets are winning big or the Mets are losing big. You're not going to see him in a big spot ever again for this New York Mets team, barring catastrophic injury and all this other crap that the Mets could go through. You will not see Montas start another game. They'll most likely move forward with the 6-man rotation, and that will not include Frankie Montas, thankfully. But this is, what more could you ask for if you're a Mets fan after the Braves series? A lot of people left him for dead after the Braves series. I know a lot of Mets fans that told me they're not watching anymore. I know a lot of Mets fans that said the team's not that good. I get it. I saw where people were at. I'm not going to question people's fandom. I'm not going to tell people what their breaking point is. I'm not going to tell people when they're allowed to not cheer for the team or kind of get a lull in the action, because on Friday night, I'll say it over and over, I was broken with this team. I was so frustrated. I couldn't even sleep Friday night. I barely could sleep. Came on live right here because I needed to speak to other Mets fans regarding just the direction of where this team's going to be heading with 40 games to go. I was just so done defending them because I was one of the few that were left that were actually defending this team up until the Braves series. And at that point, besides optimism and besides just blind optimism after the Braves series, what more could I have possibly said? Or the most optimistic of Mets defender, what more could they possibly say that doesn't make us sound crazy and doesn't make us sound nuts? Because at the end of the day, we were just sounding like positive people who were just trying to get through a season that's completely falling apart. And thankfully, the Mets got back on track this weekend with the talent and with the young players. They needed this. They needed this one desperate. They needed this series so bad. Thankfully. Looking forward to the young guys coming into the batting lineup and pitching staff. We will have the best fun. Yeah. According to MLB.com, we do have the 5th best farm system in baseball coming into the season. I don't know where it stands actually at this moment, but I know we have a rising star in Carson Bench for center field. Jet Williams is starting to hit. He's hitting it up in AAA right now. Speaking of position players, guys like Williams or Bench most likely Williams could be called up at any time. He looks really good. You still have Jonah Tong in the minor leagues. You have Brandon Sproat, who should be making his major league debut hopefully this coming week. The Mets do have some options to make with guys like Reed Garrett, who has options left. They could send him down, bring up Brandon Sproat, let him do a spot start, because you're going to need more young talent to come into this lineup to infuse it. And it's going to be coming from the pitching staff, most likely, because you just want guys that are going to compete. You want guys that are going to throw strikes. You don't want guys that are going to be walking the ballpark every single night and just that lull. If you've ever played baseball or softball and you're a position player and you're standing out there in the field, man, and you got a guy like Montas on the mound that can't throw strikes and he just keeps getting lit up, you just become checked out. You start to say, what the hell? What am I standing out here for? I've been standing out here for 30 minutes. The other team stands out there for 10, and I'm standing out here for 30 watching this guy walk the ballpark, give up lace after lace after home run after home run, and you just start to question, what am I doing? What am I doing out here? And luckily tonight, Holmes looked like he had some good stuff, got us through the 5 innings. I can't ask for much more from that than Clay Holmes. Moving forward, I really can't ask for much more than that, because 5 innings, 1 run, I'll take that from my 5th starter any day of the week. I will definitely take that from my 5th starter any day of the week. Sanga's another one. They need, at the end of the day for this team and the pitching staff especially, because the bats really aren't going to change too much, especially for this pitching staff. They're going to need length from the starters. Obviously, I'm just repeating the same things over and over. You have Senga, he has to get better. You've seen him be better. You have Minaya, he has to get better. We've seen him be better. Those are 2 guys right off the bat that if they just get a little bit better, it will make things so much easier for this pitching staff. McClain will be in there now every 5 days. He's going to be electric for this franchise. Then you still have Peterson, your all-star and lefty, and Peterson, he won't feel as much pressure to go 6, 7, 8 innings anymore, because he'll come in and he'll just keep the line moving. And hopefully that's what it takes now moving forward. But that's what we got right now. Mets win. Huge series. Love the fact that they got this series in the Little League World Series. The kids out there were loving the Soto shuffle. He did it for them. It was beautiful. Soto hates his teammates. Soto's lying about his age. All this stuff that all these people are saying. They could eat it. They could suck it for a weekend. Thank you guys for watching. Again, like, subscribe if you can. It means the world to me. And I will see you guys on the next Met post game. Hopefully a victory Tuesday night against Washington.